Hello everyone, good evening. Today's session, we are going to talk about a few of the vSphere permissions, sorry, a few of the vSphere features. So in our previous session, we covered the few features, and today I'm going to focus on the three features. One is global inventory of list and tag and custom attributes and roles and permissions. Let's start with the global inventory list. See, in vCenter, we have one of the feature called when we log into the menu and under the vSphere client menu, we have an option for global inventory list. The purpose of global inventory list is when we click on global inventory list, you will find all our inventory information. It's starting with vCenter home, virtual machine, namespaces, vApp, VM and templates, and also the all the resource information we can find. But usually the main core benefit of this feature is when we log into the vCenter, there is an option for inventory, or we can use the option for shortcuts, either shortcuts or inventory, mainly for a one vCenter server. Suppose in our organization, we are using a enhanced linked mode. Enhanced linked mode means within our on-premises vCenter server, we are integrated with any of the other remote sites. If you have a multiple vCenter servers during this scenario, to review all your global inventory list. During that scenario, this feature is very beneficial for us to segregate all your vCenters information and on your data centers information, and all the information we can see using this global inventory list widget. Okay, so the same point I highlighted here, we can use the global inventory list navigator to browse and select objects in the vSphere inventory as an alternative to the hierarchical categorized inventory tree. Okay, this is mainly the categorized view, and the global inventory list navigator presents a list of all related objects in the inventory. We can navigate from an object to its related objects regardless of their type. So the all the objects are these all the list of objects, and we are familiar with all these concepts also. We know how to install vCenter, how to create a data center, how we can add the ESX host to vCenter server, and creating the cluster and cluster features, resource pool, data store clusters, and network and distributed port group, distributed switches. These all consider as a our vCenter server resources. These all information we can find from the global inventory list. But remember, this in our home lab, we have only one vCenter server at present. But in general, the benefit of this tab is we can able to view even if you have a linked with your other vCenter server. Those vCenter information also we can find from this inventory, global inventory. And there is another information using the global inventory list information. The key point here is to access additional information or manage the selected object, click on the one of the tab on the center pane. Let's say in this previous diagram, we have a multiple one. You can select any one object. Whenever we select a data center, host, cluster, any of the other objects, the only thing is when we select this object, we'll find all these options are common. Suppose if I select a data center, we can have a tab for summary tab, monitor, configure, permissions, and related object tabs and updates. These tabs are common for all the inventory objects. Let me log into vCenter and I will show you all these options. Let's say once I log into the vCenter server, this is a shortcut view. Suppose go to the menu. Here we can look for a global inventory list. See here we can see the global inventory list. When you click on global inventory list, the first one is vCenter home. It is showing the vCenter current usage, CPU, memory, and storage. And same way you can see the list of virtual machines view. And again, back to the global inventory list. And we can see the namespaces. Namespace means you suppose if you configure a vSphere with the Tanju, you will find the existing namespaces. But currently we haven't configured the Tanju setup. And vApp, if we have any vApp, suppose we have a one vApp which is configured for vRelays automation vApp, that CPU shares and information you will find here. And same way, suppose if I select again global inventory object, VMs and templates. If we have any existing template, all the templates view you can see from the VM templates inventory object. And same way, resources also same. Suppose if I select the vCenter server, you will find these options: summary, monitor, configure, permission. These options only I mentioned in the slide: summary, monitor, configure. These options are common for all the inventory resources. Suppose log into the inventory object again and go to the global inventory list. If I select data center, again click on data center, you will find these options. Okay, summary, monitor, configure, permissions, and other related objects. And finally, updates. That final updates also I mentioned in the slide. Okay, so these options are common for every inventory object, not only data center. Suppose if I select again global inventory list, go to the ESXi host, select any one ESXi host, you will find the same tab: summary, monitor, configure, permissions, related objects, finally updates. Okay, and also suppose select again and cluster, even select any of the cluster also same: summary tab, monitor tab, configure tab, and so on. So these all options I'm trying to explain using the slide one table. What is the benefit of summary tab is we can view basic status and configuration for an object. This object can be either a data center, cluster, ESXi host, whatever the object you selected, that object summary information we can see. Okay, and monitor means we can view alarms, performance data, resource allocation, events, and other status information for an object. So the object can be either cluster, whatever the object we selected. And configure, depend on the selected object, we can edit settings, alarm definitions, tags, permissions, and so on. And name itself says permissions. So this tab specifically refers as a we can view, add, change, and delete permissions. This tab is also available for logged in user with administrative privileges. And related object tabs. Normally the related object tabs are applicable mainly for virtual machines, resource pool, data stores, and networks. And updates, the name itself says updates. Suppose if you're planning to update your ESXi host version, virtual machine version, and cluster related object updates, you will find from the updates tab. So depending on the selected object, we can check the hardware compatibility of host, against the VMware compatibility guide, check the status of virtual machines, upgrade the virtual VMware tools version or virtual machine hardware version, and perform using a lifecycle manager. Lifecycle manager also one of the feature I will cover in our next, maybe the subsequent sessions. I will cover the lifecycle manager. Using lifecycle manager, we can mainly perform the ESXi host and virtual machines update and upgrades. Update means patching and upgrade means version upgrade. Suppose our ESX is running on 6.7 version. I'm planning to upgrade to the ESX version 7.0 update 3. That is considered as a upgrade. Update means all our ESX hosts are running on 7.0 update 1. I'm planning to upgrade it to 7.0 update 3. That is considered as a updates. So when we are planning to do a updates or upgrades any scenario, we'll recommend to use as a lifecycle manager operations. Okay, and note the updates tab is available only for certain types of inventory object. For example, host, virtual machine, and clusters. There are other options, other resources we do not have a updates option. If you want to verify, again log in here. Suppose here we select as a cluster. For cluster, we are able to see the updates tab. Okay, and again go to global inventory list, and if you select the network, for the network one there is no updates tab. Okay, so that's point only I highlighted here. This option is available mainly for host, virtual machine, and clusters. Okay, so this is the high level overview of global inventory list information and also what is importance of global inventory list. But normally in the larger virtual infrastructure environment, we prefer to use this tab, or else most of the time we'll use the common inventory options. The common inventory is go to the menu, we'll go to the option is inventory. This inventory is normally we use. In this inventory, we have a 4 objects: host and clusters, VMs and templates, data stores, and network. But only drawback in this tab is this is showing the network only within a vCenter only. It won't show you the other vCenter. But if you want to see the other vCenter inventory objects, the recommend option is go to the global inventory list. Even the name also saying is global inventory list. So global means whatever the other geographical location, we have a data center, and if we have a other vCenter servers, those vCenter servers, we can add it to this vCenter using two methods. We can add it like a enhanced linked mode, or you can add it like a hybrid linked mode. Enhanced linked mode means normally we can add it here another vCenter, and hybrid linked mode we'll use it for a VMC on AWS product. VMC on AWS means that is one of the hybrid cloud product. During that scenario, we'll use a hybrid linked mode. Okay, so when we have a hybrid linked mode or enhanced linked mode, during that scenario, this global inventory list options is more useful. Okay, so that's it about the global inventory list feature. Now let's talk about another feature, that is tags and custom attributes. Again, these tags and custom attributes also, if our organization infrastructure size is small, we didn't get a much benefit of these features. But if your organization size is larger organization, for example, if you have 1,000 ESXi host and 10,000 virtual machines, during that scenario, if you want to segregate all your ESXi host and virtual machine, segregation will be very challenging. That scenario, we have to depend on these features. This feature is tags and custom attributes. Let's talk about what is the importance of tags and custom attributes. Before we start the concept of tag and custom attributes, as we know, each and every virtual infrastructure, we have a multiple flavors of operating system. We can install a multiple flavor of Windows operating system. We can install a multiple flavor of Linux and also the Solaris. Even Linux also we can use either a SUSE Linux or Red Hat Linux we can use. And Solaris also we can use. And not only Solaris, we can use other operating systems also, like Macintosh operating system, or we can use a pre-configured virtual appliances also we can use. Just for our easy understanding, I took a 3 virtual machines, and imagine that not only 3, even if we have a 3000 VMs also, concept is same. We have a 3 flavors of virtual machines here. But if I want to segregate this all the VMs into a Windows VMs one group and Linux VM one group, Resource Solaris VM one group. If you want to create it as a group for each OS flavor, manually it's not possible. But during this scenario, in order to address the segregation of OS flavor, we require a tags, and also we have to categorize all this infrastructure. So let's try to understand what is the key challenge and solution. Let's say the challenge here is searching and sorting objects in a large vSphere environment could get a bit complicated or complex. So if your organization in virtual infrastructure is very large, during that scenario, to segregate suppose your manager asked for all our Windows virtual machines are running as a 2019, and they are planning to upgrade the Windows 2019 virtual machines to Windows 2022 virtual machine. Let's take here, this is the scenario. But you have a virtual machine more than 5,000 virtual machines. Within your 5,000 virtual machine, we need to pull out a report. That report consists of only Windows VM. We no need of Linux VM, we no need of Solaris, because our objective is customer requested for a Windows servers list, which are all Windows servers running with Windows 2019. They are planning to upgrade to a 2022. So if you plan to upgrade to 2022, if you want to segregate the specific Windows list, normally we have a manual method. We can export it into the Excel sheet using RV tools, and manually you can filter out. That is one method. But if you want to automate that method, the solution is, in order to segregate or sorting all the objects, your Windows VM one object, consider as Windows all flavor is considered as a one object, and Linux flavor considered as one object. In order to sorting and searching all your object, this situation can be easily mitigated by associating metadata to the vSphere object by using tags and custom attributes. So first we'll talk about the tags. Once we are familiar with the tags, I will explain you the custom attributes. So how we can prepare a tag is, it's like a, suppose Windows system, I prepared one tag, and even Linux system, I put a tag as a Linux value, actual key value, tag value I mentioned as a Linux, and another tag for Solaris. It's like a normally in a while we are online shopping, or if you are visiting for any of the clothes showroom, there is a different type of t-shirt sizes. Normally for large t-shirt sizes there is a separate label tag is with the L size and XL size, similarly small size, medium size, different sizes of tagging for a to segregating all the t-shirts. Same way in our vCenter also, to segregate all your Windows machine, Linux machine, Solaris machine, we have to use a tag. This tag consists of, this tag information is this VM is a Windows VM, and Linux tag it's considered as a, this VM is a Linux tag. Okay, and Solaris also it's a Solaris tag. All the Solaris VMs we can map with this tag. So when you search with that tag, you will find all the list of Solaris VM within one single click. That is the benefit of tagging. And again, these tags also we can tag categorize. These all are considered as a tags. But how we can categorize this all these tags is we have to use a option called category option. So category means we can set the category as a operating system, or in short form we call it as OS. Within this OS category, you can segregate all these tags. So that is the importance of category. Suppose if we want to create a tags in our lab, let's log into the system. How we can verify tags and all? Again, go to the vSphere client menu. You can look for a tags and custom attributes. Okay, just click on tags and custom attributes. Under the tag, we have a tags and categories. Okay, while creation of tag itself, we can choose the category, or else if you suppose if I select your category also, there is option to create a category manually also. Any method we can use. For example, I'm creating a new tag now. How we can create is just click on new, and you can mention the tag name is any of the name. Suppose I'm choosing the name as a Windows. Let's say all the Windows VMs I'm keeping as a Windows tag. So you can mention description also, any description, let's say Windows VMs. And the category, currently there is no category, no category is found, because in our categories tab also there is no category. You can use this option to create a category, or you can use the category tab to create a category. Any method we can use. Suppose I'm using here create new category, and while creation of category you can choose any of the name. You can choose like operating system, or you can choose as a OS, any comfortable based on your comfortable you can use. Either you can use shortcut word OS, or you can write the operating system. Operating system. Operating systems, and the description also we can keep the same. And either that category can be created for a one tag, or we can create it for a many tags. Any option we can use. Associated object types. Object types is it's considered as a folder, data center, data store cluster. These all our vCenter inventory items are considered as a object types. Okay, if you uncheck here this one, you can select a tag for specifically to virtual machine. That method is available, or you can select for a all objects. Any method we can choose. So now just click on create. So when we click on create, our name for the tag is Windows, and category is operating system category. Now click on create. Okay, the same one I'm just trying to highlight in this diagram. I created category as a operating system. Under this operating system category, I just added a Windows tag. Okay, now I'm going to add it for a Linux and Solaris. So click on new again, and you can just write it as a Linux. When you type Linux name and description also, you can use a similar name, Linux VMs. All the Linux VMs we planning to add this tag. And the category, this is also again Linux VMs considered as a operating system. Now click on create. So Linux VMs also created. Suppose if I want to create another tag for a Solaris. So Solaris operating system. So you can just description also we can use same Linux Solaris VMs, and the category is same category. Click on create. So like this, not only these three flavors, we can create for a multiple flavors also. Suppose I want to add for a Mac OS. Even for the Mac OS also, you can create another tag. create. So totally we created a 4 tags. All the 4 tags category is configured as a operating system. Even now you can go to the categories tab, you will find operating system. Under this operating system, multiple cardinality is true, and associated entities we assigned for all the inventory objects. Okay, this is how we can create. Now we'll just verify how going to assign this tag to the existing inventory. Let's go to the inventory. Within our inventory, expand the vCenter server data center, go to the host and cluster. We have a few virtual machines running here. We have virtual machines, Red Hat Linux, VM1 is running with Windows 2022 and VM2 is running with 2019. Let's say for Linux VMs, if you want to assign a tag, just select the virtual machine, right click, and you can look for a option for tag and custom attributes. Here you can choose the assign tag. Let's say assign tag, when you select the assign tag, there is a multiple tags are available. But what is the tag is the recommended option? Linux option. Okay, click on assign. But if you are using a larger environment, while creation of template or while creation of master template itself, you can assign this tag so that whenever we deploy the VM from template, it will automatically comes with a tag. We no need to do manual job, but in our home lab, for our easy understanding, I'm showing in the manual task. But generally, if the tags are mandatory for your organization, we can keep this tagging in a master template itself. Suppose this tag information, go to the VM summary tab, will have an option for tag. Here you can see tag is assigned. And same way virtual machine, if you want to assign the tag, right click here and go to the tag and custom, tags and custom attributes, select assign tag. And this is a Windows VM. So you can choose Windows, click on assign. And same way VM2 also running with a Windows operating system. So right click here, you can choose tag and custom attributes, assign tag, and choose Windows. Even if you have other VMs with the Solaris, you can assign the Solaris tag. Okay, but the benefit of this tag, how we can verify is, you can just go to the search here. You can search with your Windows. When you search with your Windows, you will find a tag will automatically search here. We have a Windows templates and also Windows tag. When I click on Windows tag, automatically it will show you the related objects. Even if you see here, we have the objects are 2 objects. In the right pan, go to the objects tab. See whatever the VMs assigned with these 2 tags, those 2 tag VMs are immediately it's searched. Even if your customer asked, if you have a 300 Windows VM also, it's very simple. We no need to download manual report and filter it out using Excel sheet. If you have already the tagging system in your vCenter, within one single search, you will find all the information. Finally, you can export. Okay, this is the easy method to do the tagging mechanism. Okay, so that is importance of tagging. Even if you want to assign permissions also, these are all the default permissions assigned at a global permission level. If you want to add any new permissions also, we can add the new permission. Normally this permission can be, you can assign a local authentication or you can assign a active directory authentication. Suppose if you see here in our vCenter server, we log in with a local administrator credential, administrator@vsphere.local. But some scenario in our real-time organizations, they are not recommend to use a local administrator accounts. They will recommend to use a domain authentications like Active Directory. We have to create few vCenter administrator credentials. Those IDs only we recommend to add it to the permissions tab. So how we can add and all, I will show in the following slides. But this slide, hope you understand the importance of Windows tag, Linux tag, Solaris tag, and how we can categorize it. That is the purpose of tags. And suppose even if I want to search for a Linux also, the same procedure, just in the search option, change to Windows to Linux. You will find a Linux tag. So just click on Linux, and Linux, we have only one object. That one object Linux VM is highlighted here. Okay. So the same point I mentioned here, searching and sorting objects in a large vSphere environment could get a bit complicated. This situation can be easily mitigated by associating metadata to vSphere objects by using tags and custom attributes. Okay, so I have some description point for the tags and category in the following slide. Once that is cleared, we'll go with the custom attributes. So here is the high level overview of whatever we discussed until now. I just given the description here. Quickly run through the description. A tag is a label that we can apply to objects in vSphere inventory. When we create a tag, we can assign the tag to a category. So here we assign the category as a operating system. Under operating system, we created a 3 tags. And the categories allow us to group related objects, related tags together. So this category always help us to group all our tags, related tags only. Operating system means you can add only operating system tags. Suppose if you are creating a category for networks and data stores, that time you can change the category to data stores. Okay, within the data stores, you can put a tag for a FCSAN one tag, iSCSI one tag, and also the NAS one tag, and also the software defined storage one tag. Like that, we can segregate. Even for the network also, vSwitch you maintain one tag, and dvSwitch you can maintain one tag. Okay, that same point I mentioned here. When we define a category, we can specify the object type for its tags, whether more than one tag. We can assign not only one tag for the category, we can assign more than one tag. In the category can be applied to an object. For example, if we want to tag our virtual machine by guest operating system type, guest operating system means Windows, Linux, Solaris, we can create a category called operating system. So same point mentioned here. And we can specify that it applies to VMs only that only a single tag can be applied to a virtual machine at any time. The tags in this category might be Windows, Linux, Solaris. If multiple on-premises vCenter instances are configured to use enhanced linked mode. So we have even in the enhanced linked mode in your environment, still the tag concept is applicable with your other vCenter server also. Okay, tag and tag categories are replicated across all these vCenter server instances. Not only enhanced linked mode, even when we use a hybrid linked mode also, tag and tag categories maintained across our linked domain. That means on-premises SDDC, software defined data center, and hybrid linked mode. The main important product here is VMware Cloud on AWS. Okay, and VMware Cloud on AWS SDDC share tags and tag attributes. Okay, so this is also one of the important point. Okay, some of the interviews they will ask, is this tags applicable when we create a tag in our on-premises vCenter? Shall we able to use the same tag in a enhanced linked mode and hybrid linked mode? Yes, we can use it. Okay, that point I highlighted here, replicated across all these vCenter instances. Whatever the integration is enabled for our on-premises vCenter, all the integrated vCenters also, we can access the same category of tags. Now, we'll talk about a custom attributes now. See, the custom attributes means, let's say earlier we created a tag depends on the operating system flavor inventory object. But when it comes to the custom attributes mainly, we can use custom attributes in the vSphere client to assign user specific values. Let's say I have 100 virtual machine. I want to segregate each virtual machine within the 100 virtual machine. 30 virtual machine belongs to one department and another 60, another uh, 70 virtual machine belongs to another department. If you want to segregate between the among the department or department application owners, we have to specify those attributes, user specific values for each object of the custom attribute type. After we create the attributes, set the value for attribute on each VM or managed host as appropriate. Suppose in this diagram, if you see, there is a default custom attributes for the host and global. We no need to do any changes here. But if you want to set this custom attribute either on a VM level or ESXi host level, whatever the inventory object is appropriate, those inventory object, we can assign the attribute as a specific owner. This owner can be user specific. Let's say, for example, here user specific value I assigned as a 3 users, Ajay, Gnan, and Raju. Suppose if I want to assign one ESX host to Ajay, you can just choose the value as a specific user Ajay and type his host, click on add. And same way you can use the another owner and you can choose the value of NAN and the host type is host, let's say ESXi host 2 and add. Like this, we can add a custom attributes. And similarly to the another owner, you can select the value as Raju and we can select the type host and click on add. While selecting the host is we should go to the specific ESXi host and we need to right click and add the custom attributes. Okay, and this is specifically for a user specific values, and use the new attribute to filter information. Same like earlier, how we can search with a tag Windows Linux. Similarly, you can also search with a specific application owners also. Okay, about our VMs and managed host. If we no longer need a custom attribute, suppose if you don't want this custom attributes, it's always free to remove the custom attributes. We have that flexibility options. We can remove anytime. And a custom attribute is always a string only. So string means we have to enter like this. Attribute can be owner and value can be, we need to enter the specific username or application owner name. And for example, consider a large group of ESXi hosts, which is owned by 3 application owners. This is the same diagram. I'm just explaining the description here. See, application owners have a multiple ESXi host. If you want to segregate among the specific users, you can dedicate a specific attribute values to the individual users. And in this scenario, custom attribute owner can be created, which will either have a Ajay or Raju or Nan. I just took the 3 users names. Similarly, in our real-time scenario, whatever the application owner names they given, the specific owner names we need to enter here. Okay, as its value to the identify the ownership. Who is the owner for that ESXi host? Okay, so this option, if you want to verify here, let's quickly log into the vCenter. Go to the menu and here look for a tag and custom attributes. So just now we discussed about tag and categories. Same way, if you go to the custom attributes, these are all the default custom attributes. When you click on new, you can create the custom attributes here. So remember, attribute values can be either owner or anything we can create here. This is one method. And another method is you can just go to the inventory tab. Within the inventory tab, we have a facility to create a custom attributes on a specific cluster level and also the ESXi host level. Suppose if you want to select on a cluster level, right click the cluster, tag and custom attributes, and you can choose edit custom attributes. This is one method. Suppose I don't want to assign the custom attributes on a cluster level. I want to give in a segregation at the ESXi host level. During this scenario, select the ESXi host, right click, and go to the tag and custom attributes. You can select the custom attribute. Here you can choose the attribute value. Attribute value can be string, that is owner, and value here you can choose the specific owners. For example, I'm choosing the application owner as a Ajay, and the host, this host is we are creating on a ESX01. So this user just click on add and click on OK. So that means whenever this USX host user, who the owner means, if you select the summary tab, you will find here owner is Ajay. And same way, I want to assign the another ESX host to another department application owner. Again, right click here, go to the tag, custom attributes, edit custom attributes. We need to add the attribute value here. Suppose here owner and host is there, but who is the actual application owner name is not assigned. So during that scenario, just select the owner and you can choose the specific application owner, click on add. So it says that there is already existing rule. So during that scenario, select the owner, click on delete and add it now. So now added the owner with the application owner name and click on OK. And same way for other ESX host. Even for the validation, select the ESX, go to the summary tab, just scroll down, refresh here. It will update the application owner details. Custom attribute, you will find the owner details. Okay, and same way for the other ESX also. Like this, even if you have hundreds of ESX hosts, we have a facility to segregate all your application owners information either on the ESX host level, virtual machine level. Any method we can use it. Okay, and even here customize we can type also. Any method you can use. Okay, instead of delete, or you can just add it freshly, or you can type also. Let's say I'm adding another user and click on add, click on OK. Okay, like this we can do the custom attributes. Now we'll try to observe what is the main difference between tags and custom attributes. Let's go to the next slide. See the tag versus custom attributes. The fundamental difference between tags and custom attribute is that tags allow one to logically classify and arrange vSphere objects. However, when using custom attribute, vSphere object metadata can be stored right with the object itself. Object itself means if you are creating a TSX host, the information is stored with the object itself in a vCenter. Okay, that is the key point here. The left side one refers as a category and tags, but the right side one refers as a specific user-based rules only. Okay. Now, apart from logical arrangement, the searching tags and custom attributes can also use it for granting the permissions to vSphere object. This is one use case. And another use case is configuration management database. Normally, in our real-time scenarios, all the organizations maintain some CMDB, configuration management database. That means how many ESXi hosts we have, how many virtual machines we have, even within this virtual machine, how many Windows, how many Linux, how many Solaris. All this information we consider as a CMDB, configuration management database. To maintain this configuration management database and also sort out the specific category also, we require a tags and custom attributes. Okay, so that is the importance of tags and custom attribute. As I mentioned, both features global inventory list, and these features normally will use if your organization infrastructure size is large organization. These features will give you a more benefits. If your organization size is small, normally we can quickly do it manually also. Okay. And also there is another scenarios. Suppose I want to segregate the reporting, even the reporting using the other third party tool or other VMware integrated tool using vRealize Operations Manager. Even you vRealize Operation Manager also manage to segregate your reporting using the tags and custom attributes. Okay, during the VROps session also I will show you how we can integrate the VROps tags and custom attributes, how VROps is uses the existing tags. Okay. And this tags concept is important in vRealize automation also. While doing the vRealize automation also, we have to learn the tag concept. The same tag concept, but there will be some additional features. Those additional features I will cover in the vRealize automation session. Okay. But vSphere perspective, until this concept will be more than enough. Now we are going to talk about vCenter roles and permissions. So within the vCenter roles and permissions, if you want to see the vCenter roles and permission, these options are available also in a vSphere client menu only. Suppose if I quickly log into vCenter, every inventory tab, if I select data center, there is a tab for permission. If I select a cluster, there is a tab for permission. And if we select a ESXi host, there is a tab for permission. Even if I select the virtual machine, there is a tab for permission. So we have to understand what is importance of this permission. Okay, what is importance of a role, what is importance of user group, and the left side all are considered as a inventory object. So before understanding the permission concept, we should understand some basic points like what is the importance of object, user group, and also the role. Once we familiar with these three features, then it's easy to understand the permissions. Okay, and these options we can also find from menu. There is a option to administration tab. When you select the administration tab, you can find a access control. So under the access control, suppose normally access control will be like this. If you expand the access control, you will find roles and global permissions. Okay, so that is only topic I'm trying to explain. vCenter roles and permissions. So let me give you the high level overview of access control. So here is the high level overview of access control overview. If you see the right side diagram, if you want to assign a permission on any of the vCenter object, that vCenter objects are this left side diagram. I highlighted what is objects. These objects are we already familiar: folder, data center, data store cluster, distributed switch, content library, network, vApp, cluster, data store, distributed port group, host, library item, resource pool, virtual machine. These all the concepts we discussed. Whatever vCenter we have in the inventory tab, all the items are considered as a objects only. Okay. So if you want to assign a permission, the main key role is we should know about the vCenter inventory object and which user is required a permission and what role we are going to assign the permission. If we have these three information, we can able to assign the permission. Okay, so the same point I give explained in the description. The access control system enables the vCenter server administrator to define a user's privileges to access objects in the inventory. So objects means we know these all the objects. And the key concepts involves mainly these 4 points. Privilege means defines an action that can be performed, and role means a role is nothing but it's a set of privileges. And object, the target of the action. The object can be, you can assign as the permissions at a data store level, assign the permissions at cluster level, or you can assign at a specific ESXi host level. Okay, that is the target of the action. And user group indicate who can perform the action. Normally user and group, we can use either a local user local groups, or we can assign to a active directory, Windows active directory users and groups. Two options are available. Most of the time real time scenarios will configure a Windows active directory domain. So all the group user group consider as a active directory user active directory groups only. Okay, now let's talk about the main key point here is permission. Once we familiar with the permission, we'll go to the other topic, object and role users groups. So let me elaborate the permission section in the following slide. So vCenter server permissions. Even just now we verified the permission is very important option. If you log into the vCenter inventory, every tab have a permissions tab. Okay, but the permissions tab importance is, if you want to assign a permission, the key point here is, if you see the diagram, if you want to assign a permission, we must have a role. Role is nothing but a set of privileges. This set of privileges consist of one role. We need a role, a specific vCenter server role, and specific vSphere object, either it is a data center or cluster level or ESXi host level, and you need a user to assign the permissions. So these three are minimally required to assign a permissions. Okay, so the same point I highlighted in the description. The permission model for vCenter server systems relies on a assigning permissions to objects in the vSphere object hierarchy. Each permission gives one user or group a set of privileges. See, one user or one group, it have a set of privileges. Set of privileges means one role. That is a role for the selected object. That object can be, you can assign at a data center level, you can assign at the cluster level or ESXi host level or specific VM level also, you can assign the permissions. So the following concepts are important, that is privileges, vSphere objects, and also the users and groups. These users and groups we always recommend to use Active Directory users and groups, and roles also. These roles and all, it's a default roles in the vCenter server. If you want to see the default roles in vCenter server, let's log into the vCenter, go to the menu and select the administration tab. And when you select the roles, you'll find these all the default roles. Okay, we no need to configure any manual roles. Even if you still want to do a custom role also, there is an option for custom role creation. Even when you select the default role, for example, if I select administrator, administrator have a full access rights. Suppose if I select the read only, see the details of objects but not make changes. This read only means it's able to log into vCenter, but it cannot able to make any of the changes because it's a read only role. And no access, the name itself says no access. That means every user cannot be accessed by default vCenter server until unless we provide a permission. Okay, like this we have so many default roles. So this point only I'm highlighting here, roles. Okay, now the key point here is, together a role, a user, that means a role, a user or group, and an object. This object define a permissions. Okay, to assign the permission, we need this three combination. We need one role. That role can be any of the vCenter role we have to choose, and the object can be either ESXi host, virtual machine, cluster, or data center. Whatever the objects we have in this screenshot, this all considered as a object. You can assign permission on any specific object level. And the user can be either Active Directory specific user, one user like user 1, user 2, user 3, or you can choose as a group. That group can be, you can assign a group for a department wise, like finance group, marketing group, sales group. Even the sales group people also, they want to access some test applications. They can log in, we can prepare a separate group for the pre-sales team, and we can prepare separate group for the marketing team, separate group for the applications team. Like this, we can prepare a multiple Active Directory groups. Those groups also we need to be considered while assigning the permissions. Okay. Now let me elaborate more onto the role concept now. Now we talk about the permission. Now I'm trying to explain about the roles now. See the vCenter role. Role is nothing but a, just now we notice, role is nothing but a set of privileges. So the same point I highlighted here. A role is a set of one or more privileges. Even when you go to the vCenter server, access control, so if I select the administrator tab, and right side you can see the privileges. You have so many privileges it has. And a privilege allows access to a specific task and is grouped with other privileges related to it. And roles allows user to perform tasks. The importance of role is it allows the user to perform all these tasks. And vCenter server provides a few system roles which we cannot modify. See, if you see in the right side, there are few roles. If I see the administrator, the edit option is grayed out. That is a point I highlighted here. vCenter server provides a few system roles. This is a default system role which we cannot modify. Even when you select the administrator, there is no edit option. We cannot modify because it's a default system role. But some roles we can able to modify. For example, log into vCenter server. If I select the read only, see the edit option is grayed out. Even if I select the no access, edit option is grayed out. Even privileges tab, see no privileges assigned. Suppose if I select the read only tab, no privileges assigned. If I select the administration tab, there is a so many privileges. We have the so many privileges. Even if I have scroll down, see, so all the privileges assigned for a only the administrator user only. Alarms he have access, permissions he have, auto deploy, certificate authority, certificate management, and also compute policy, content library, crypto cryptographic operations, DB port group, distributed switch, entire vSphere inventory objects only have the full permission is administrator account only. Suppose if I select as a network administrator sample, but this is also vCenter default role, but this role have a edit option. Okay, only the few roles, these first three roles, there is no option to edit. The remaining one, if I select randomly, there is a edit option is available. Okay, suppose network administrator means you have only privileges on a network portion, not the data store portion. Suppose if I select a data store consumer, you have the permissions only privileges on a data store level, not to the ESXi host, VM and data center level. Okay, so when you get spare time, you can just select each and every role and go through the all the privileges section. Okay, I'm giving you the high level information. Even if I select NSX administrator, in the description tab, you will find the description of this role allows vSphere user to view and modify NSX configuration. And the usage, the mainly usage is within the vCenter server, the propagate is true, and the privileges modify NSX configuration. And same way, suppose supervisor cluster. Supervisor cluster is like a, we can use supervisor cluster in a workload management. While preparing a Tanju setup, we need a supervisor cluster operator. These roles are needed. And resource pool administrator, we know the resource pool concept. Resource pool concept mainly for support delegate the resource management. And the usage is currently we haven't started using this role. That's why it is showing us no items found. And the privileges we have, these are all the default privileges for resource pool administrator. Okay. And suppose the virtual machine console user, virtual machine power user. When you compare with the console user, it's like only he can perform all these tasks, but a power user means he have some additional permissions. Okay. Normally for the end users, we'll use these three roles only. Any one role we can assign, depends on the customer request. Suppose some customer, they may ask to provide only the power on power off, these operations are enough. That time you can assign a virtual machine user role. Suppose customer asked for their virtual machine, he need a additional snapshot task facility. That time if you select a power user, power user have a snapshot facilities. So this role we have to assign to the specific application user. Okay. Then the rest of roles and all will use until unless if there is any requirement. Normally we won't use. We'll prefer to use default local administrator, or you can add a active directory administrator account. That account will provide you full permissions. Okay. So I will show you the some other options as well. Let's back to the slide. So hope you understand this role section. Now I'm going to talk about the objects now. vCenter objects. Objects are entities on which actions are performed. The mainly objects include data centers, folders. Suppose if you see in this diagram, we have a data center, folders, resource pool. We have a resource pool app VM's resource pool cluster. We have a two clusters here. One cluster is GNAND Cloud Garage CL and production cluster 01. These are two are the clusters. And ESXi host, we have a 4 ESXi host, data stores, networks, and virtual machine. These all considered as a objects. But all objects have a permissions tab. So this permissions tab require mainly a which is mainly for a user group, role, or associated with the selected object. Suppose this permission how we can assign is it's along with the object, user group, and also role. When you have these three information, it's able to assign the permission correctly. Okay, so in this diagram I'm trying to explain the all the three options. See, cluster we selected as object is the cluster, and user and group we have a default all the system roles and users. If you see vSphere.local means it is only one user only. When you see this icon, it's a one user. If you see multiple user icon, that is nothing but it's a group only, it's not the user. Okay, we have a user groups, default users and groups, and those users and group have a specific role. This role only we can see from a permissions tab. Okay, and even the where these permissions are defined is when you see the administrator ID, this administrator account defined at the vCenter level, and the remaining groups defined at the global permission. Global permission means even if you have an integration with other vCenter also, these group permissions are applicable to linked vCenters as well. That is importance of global permission. Okay, now let me elaborate some more point about the global permission. See, vCenter global permission. Global permissions give you a user or group privileges to view or manage all the objects in each of the inventory hierarchies in our organization. So global permissions allow access across vCenter instances. For example, the global root object has permission over all vCenter objects, including content library, vCenter server instances, and tags. And global root object global root object have a see these all the objects. We have vCenter instances. That means globally root object means not only single vCenter, we have a multiple vCenters, and we have a data center folder. Under data center folder, we can configure a multiple data centers. I just created as a one data center for our easy understanding. And this global root object not only on a vCenters level, it will also provide a permissions on content library. Under content library, if you have any content library item, that item level also we can provide a permissions. And similarly, we can provide a permissions at the tag category. Just now we verified the what is the tag and how we can categorize the tags. Either you can assign the permissions at the tag category or specific tag level. That is the importance of vCenter global permission. But remember that if you want to assign a permission, the main key objectives are three objectives. One is vSphere objective and user and group and role. These three options are needed to assign a permission. Okay. Even if their customer asks to assign a permission, we need to ask the customer which object you need the permission. You need the permission at the cluster level, or you need the permission at the specific ESXi host level. That is the first question. And second question, which user and which group we need a permission? That is the second question. And third question, what role you are expecting? Normally, our as a vSphere administrator, we only have administrator privileges, but for the application owners and application users, we will not provide a equivalent administrator permission. Normally, based on my experience, we will provide a permissions for virtual machine user and virtual machine power user. These permissions only will provide to the customers. We will not provide a other permissions because other permissions all have a some additional privileges. Okay, additional privileges mean the set of privileges is nothing but a role only. Clear? Now we're going to verify the our main lab concepts now. The first point, review the global inventory list. This point just now we verified. Go to the vSphere client menu, we can see the global inventory list. The purpose of this tab is when we have a multiple vCenters, we'll see the more benefits using this tab. Okay. Now, tag and custom attributes. Even tag and custom attributes also from the login to vCenter using vSphere client, go to the tag and custom attributes. You will see the tag information. We know how to create the tag. Even if you want to create the tags for your network level, data store level, also same procedure. Click on new and you can create. For our easy understanding, I took the example of OS flavor tag. We can prepare you all the OS flavor tags and you can categorize it as a operating systems. So category also we prepared. And the custom attributes mainly for a user based attributes. I prepared the owner for host and individual host we set the owner names. So that one we can verify from a inventory tab, select the specific ESX host, summary tab, you will find a custom attribute owner information. And same way ESX1, you go to summary tab, scroll down, you will find a owner information. Okay. Same way for ESX2 also you will find. Okay. So that is the importance of tags and custom attributes and objects, user or group role and permission. This option now we are going to verify. So for example, if I select a cluster, production cluster, right side, go to the permissions tab. Here object means cluster is the object and user and groups is considered as a all the local user or group and role is nothing but a default vCenter roles. This point is here, object, user or group, roles and permissions. Permissions tab only we can see all these three. Now, another key point is configuring Active Directory. Suppose I want to configure Active Directory to my vCenter server. How we can configure is, again go to the menu tab and you can go to the administration tab. Under the administration tab, in the below you have a option for single sign-on. Suppose if I expand the single sign-on, you will find a all the users, local users information as well as groups information. Suppose if I want to add it to the domain, in the below you can see the configuration tab. In this configuration tab, by default, there is an option for identity provider, identity sources. Currently, it is in a local domain only. There is a tab for Active Directory domain. If you want to join to the domain, see it's saying that this node is didn't join to the Active Directory. If you want to join to the domain, click on join domain and we have to enter our domain name. Let's say our domain name is demolab.com and organizational unit. If you have any specific organizational unit, normally organizational unit means it's kind of branches only. Suppose this domain is planning, this vCenter is comes under the Hyderabad location. You can enter your organization unit as a specific location, either Delhi or Hyderabad location, wherever this vCenter is running, the specific location we can enter here and username and password. Now I'm just giving a administrator password. Let's say administrator and password. So this administrator should be our domain administrator login ID and password. And when we click on join, it says that reboot the node to apply the changes. Okay, so click on join. So it requires a restart to apply the changes, then only it's joined to the Active Directory domain. And not only Active Directory domain, there is some other methods also we can join using the smart card authentications also we can configure. But most of the time, the recommend option is join the Active Directory domain. Okay, let me minimize. So that is the option how we can configure the Active Directory. and we can view AD users and groups. How we can view the AD users and groups is once this is vCenter is restarted, then we can see the under the users and groups, we can have a option to see the domain name, our domain name. When we select our domain name, you can find the users and groups here. But in order to see our demolab.com domain, it requires a restart. So let me restart our vCenter server. If you want to restart vCenter server, we can restart multiple ways. One method is you can connect to the vCenter server using SSH and restart. And another method is our vCenter also running as a virtual machine. You can just right click here and restart, or guest OS press F12 on reboot also. Any method you can use. Suppose if you want to reboot from here, press F12. Or else let me type here 80. Once open the vCenter server, and here to launch the shell prompt, just type the shell. Now it is in the shell prompt. Shell prompt means you can see hash. Now the to reboot the command, just command is reboot. Okay. Now vCenter reboot is in progress. It may take some time to reboot, and all the services should be started. Once the vCenter server is up, we can see the remaining one. How we can view the Active Directory users and groups. Excuse me. In the meantime, we can add the Active Directory some additional users and groups. Log into the our SSH session disconnected. Okay. See vCenter reboot in progress. In the meantime, we'll go to the Active Directory and we'll create some test users. So to log into the Active Directory, start run and type dsa.msc. Okay. So now we have Active Directory users and computers, and go to the users tab. These are all the default groups, and the main user we are using at present is administrator, and there is no other users. And even that there is a guest user, but this guest user is in a disable prompt. Okay, not in the enable state. We'll create a new user now. Right click here, create new user. Let's say our username is user1 and username user1. Click on next and assign the password. So I have created one user and assigned the password, and here password never expires. Okay, I'm just setting as a password never expires. Click on finish. So user one is created. Similarly, we can create a multiple users also. So right click here, new user. Let's say user two, and user login name also user two, and you can assign a password. And click on next and click on finish. So user two also created. So user one created, user two created. These two users will verify from the vCenter server. So when we see the vCenter, now vCenter server is up. Try to open. So let me refresh the vCenter page. See, it says that no healthy upstream. That means vCenter services are still not yet up. We need to wait for some time to bring up all the vCenter services. Even if you want to monitor, you can just log to the appliance. Just a minute. Okay, so log into our vCenter server. We can see from the 5480 port. whether it is able to load or not. Because we just now restarted the vCenter, it may take some time to bring up all the services. Even the WAMI page is taking some time to load. Yeah, now log into the WAMI page and we can see all the service status from here. Okay, there is alert still. The memory is running low. It's fine. And CPU, database storage and all health status is good. And go to the services tab. We can see all the automatic services should be started. See, still the services are still in the starting state. Okay, we need to wait for some time. Once all becomes started, then all this page will start loading. Okay, when you see here, page is still not loading. Okay, in the meantime, we'll back to the lab. What is other points? Assign object permission to a AD user. Okay, once the vCenter is up, I will show you how we can view the Active Directory users and group, and any specific user like user 1 and user 2, we can assign the permission to vCenter server. And another point is assign root level global permission. I will show you how we can assign the global permission as well, and log in as a AD user and test the one user creation also. Okay, and we have two users at present. I created in our Active Directory two users. One user will provide a full privileges and one user will provide a read-only privileges. Let's say here, if you want to update it, we'll update in the description section. We can provide it as a vCenter administrator. Apply. Okay, so here I updated this user as a vCenter administrator, and another one, properties. I'm planning to give the permission only vCenter virtual machine power user. Okay, this is a virtual machine power user is a default role. So I will provide the access this user to power user role. And suppose I'm creating another user, user 3, new select user, user 3. So for user 3, we'll plan to give only read-only permissions. So description you can mention as vCenter read-only permissions. Read-only role, apply. Okay. This one is a administrator role. And this one is a VM power user role. Okay. So now back to our vCenter services. Refresh. And here also we can refresh. Okay, seems it's going to up now. I think still some service are in a starting state. Content library still starting. Okay, see, even when I trying to launch the vCenter page, it's saying that vSphere client web server is still initializing. Okay, I think we may need to wait a couple of minutes. Once services are up, we can log into this page. So in the meantime, what we did is we created here 3 users. These 3 users I'm going to test now. User 1, user 2, and user 3. Even if you want to log in using this user also, the user is user 1, user 2, user 3. This permission assigning the same concept in a single ESX also. For example, if I'm logging to a single ESX host, let's say 74 ESX4, I just logged in. Here also, if you want to assign the permissions, go to the manage Here, before assigning the roles, users and all, first we can create a user. You can just click on add. You can create the user here. Let's say user 1, user 01, and assign the password. So click on add. So this is a only local user only, user 1 created. But this user we have to assign a permission. But how we can assign permission is first we need to add a role. Any of the role we need to select. So go to the host tab, actions. We can look for a permissions. So under this permission, we can add that specific user. So what is that username is user 01. I'm going to assign the permission as read only. So read only means he can only see the permissions. Maybe I given the letter is uppercase. Okay, user 1, U is the uppercase. So click on close. Now, if you want to test this user login, we given the permission as a, what is the permission we given? User 1, and the permission is only a read only permission. So read only means suppose if we have administrator rights, we can able to perform all these actions. But when we log in with the read only permission, all these options are grayed out. So just log out here and try to log in with user 1. So user 01 and assign the password. See, I just log in with the, in the right side, you can see the user 1. It's login with user 1 ID only. When I right click the ESXi host, if you want to set the permission, even when you select permission, it says the permission is we do not have a privileges. See, this page is not loading because user 1 have a limited privileges. Even if you want to place the ESXi host into maintenance mode, there is no maintenance mode tab here. Suppose if I want to generate the bundle, let me see. Even while generating the log bundle, it's prompting for a administrator username and password because that user do not have a full permission. Let's say user 1 and password. So user 1 is not allowing to login also. So that is how in a read only user permission. Same type of Active Directory user permission we are going to test in a vCenter level also. Let me close this wizard. Yeah, now vCenter is loaded. Instead of login with the administrator at the rate vSphere.local. Okay, first we'll login with administrator and we can provide a permissions. Okay, so just log into the vSphere client administration tab. Under administration tab, go to the users and group and also the select the configuration tab first to verify that our Active Directory is successfully added or not. See, if you see here, our vCenter is successfully added to demolab.com Active Directory. Okay, this is the first verification. And second one, view Active Directory. The configuration of Active Directory part is completed. Now we can see the fifth lab option, view Active Directory users and groups. If you want to see the view and groups, just log into the same vCenter, same tab. On the above configuration, we have a users and groups. Under users and groups, select the domain. We have a domain options here, local OS vSphere.local, and we have to find the domain for a our demolab.com. Suppose here, let me search for demolab. Okay, it's not showing here. Suppose here, still it is showing as vSphere.local and local one. Configuration tab. Maybe here identity source also we can add. Let me add our identity sources, Windows Active Directory. Let's add the identity source. Any options we can use. Let's say I'm adding a integrated Windows authentication. Click on add. Now demo lab is added here. Let's go to the users and groups. Still it is not finding the our Active Directory name. Let me refresh. Yeah, now it able to detect the demo lab. But just in case if you didn't find the demo lab here, go to the configuration tab. Under identity sources also you can add our demolab.com. Then only it's able to detect here. Domain demolab.com. Now you can search for our users. See, just now we created a 3 users, user 1, user 2, user 3. User 1 we are planning to assign as a vCenter administrator role. Another one is VM power user role. Another is read only role. So these 3 users we are able to see here, but we are going to assign the permissions now. But how we can assign the permissions is go to the home, go to the inventory tab. Let's say I'm assigning the permission completely at the vCenter top level hierarchy. Our hierarchy, I'm choosing the object is inventories vCenter high level of inventory. Go to the permissions tab. Here you can select add. While selecting the add, we have to choose our domain name is demolab.com and search for the user is user1. So I selected the user1 and the role I'm going to assign the role as a administrator role. So you can choose administrator role, propagate to children. Children means all our inventory objects also, it will apply as administrator permission. Click on OK. So now demo lab user one is assigned with the administrator permission. So same way, again click on add. Now you can choose the domain is demolab.com and now you can assign the user is user two. So user two, what permission we are planning to assign? We are planning to assign user two is a VM power user role. So power user role. So you can just select the role. You can choose the virtual machine power user role, propagate it to children. Click on OK. So user two permission also assigned. And same way, you can click on add and choose the domain name demolab.com and another user, user three. And user three, I'm planning to assign the role as a read only permission. Let me double check. See, vCenter read only for user three. So you can look for a read only permission. See, this is the read only permission. Propagate it to children. Click on OK. See, now for testing purpose, we created a 3 users. One user have a full administrator privileges. Another user have a only the vCenter power user role. The role is power user role. Power user role means he can able to perform the snapshot. And user 3 read only permission. That means he do not have any administrative privileges. So we'll test one by one how we can log into the this users. While login, we can use the same prompt demo lab slash user one. This is one method, or another method is you can log in as a user1 at the rate demolab.com. How we are logging earlier, administrator at the rate vSphere.local. The same format also we can log in. So to test this one, let me log out administrator account. See, I just log out from the administrator. Even here they give an example at the rate domain.local. So the same format I'm trying to log in now. User1 at the rate demolab.com and enter the password. See, now we are able to log in with vCenter using a Active Directory user. That Active Directory user is user1. In the right side, you can see the username as user1 at the rate demolab.com. This demolab.com, when I right click the cluster, he have all the privileges because it's a administrator role. Even he can able to power on, power off any privileges, all the same like administrator privileges. This user1 account also have. Okay, now let me log out this one and we'll test the user 2 also. But user 2 have a only limited privileges, power user rights only. So user 2 at the rate demolab.com and enter the credentials. See, when we log in with the user 2, he have only read-only permission only. Suppose if I right-click the RHEL VM power, if I want to power off or power on anything, it will shows the option, but it's a read-only permission. For example, snapshot. When I'm trying to take the snapshot, sorry, user 2 is a power user. Power user means VM level permissions he can able to perform, he can able to take the snapshot. Suppose click on create this VM, go to the monitor tab, task, he can able to create a snapshot because user 2 is a virtual machine power user rights. Suppose I want to do it any some change on a ESX level. Select the ESX host, right click. If you want to set the maintenance mode, see the maintenance mode options are grayed out because this user do not have rights on a ESXi host level. Suppose even if I select the cluster, right click, all the options are grayed out. But you have only privileges on a VM right click, you can have all the full privileges. Okay. Suppose if I select snapshot, you can able to take the snapshot. And clone, you can able to take only this option only available. Not full like administrator privileges, limited privileges only you have. Okay. See, create snapshot is completed. And same way, if you want to test the other third user is only read only permissions. So let me log out this user first, because at a time within a same system, we cannot log in with multiple users. At a time, it allows one console only. Let's say now user 3 at the rate demolab.com and log in with the default password. So now it is login with user 3. See right side, you can see user is user 3. Now we can verify the permissions. How his permissions he have. Let's say right click here. If you want to create a snapshot, even snapshot option is here, but take snapshot option is grayed out. But he can able to only view the snapshot. He cannot able to take the snapshot. That is the user 3. Even if I right click the ESXi host maintenance mode, see he cannot able to place the host into maintenance mode. But he can able to view complete infrastructure, but privileges are only read only privileges. You do not have a any of the administrative task privileges. Okay, that's about the how we can verify the user's login status. Let me log out here. We'll back to login with a administrator account. Now you can see administrator at the rate vSphere.local. This is a local administrator account. Suppose if you want to provide a our domain administrator also full rights, you can assign the full rights. Like click on add, you can choose demolab.com. Our user account is Active Directory administrator. Okay, here you can choose administrator and even the role also administrator, propagate to children. Click on OK. That means our Windows Active Directory administrator also have a vCenter administrator role. Okay, and these roles and all, if you want to understand very clearly, again go to the how we can verify is go to the administration tab. Under administration tab, select the roles. When you select the any of these all the default roles, when you select the administrator, you will see the description as full access rights and the usage. This is the usage, is all the privileges he have, and also privileges information in detail you will find from the privileges tab. Alarms, all the vCenter permissions have only the administrator account. Suppose if I select a VM power user, VM power user privileges are only limited privileges. That privileges specifically to the virtual machine. One additional feature per power user is he can able to do the snapshot. Suppose if I assign a virtual machine user, even virtual machine user cannot able to perform the snapshot operations. Okay, the remaining privileges also you can just go through when you get the time. Just select each individual role and you will go to the privileges tab. You will find the information, and description tab you will find the high level information. So the name itself says content library administrator. That means this provides a full access to content library service only. Okay, so back to our slide. We verified how we can view the AD users and groups from the vCenter server, and we assign the permission as a 3 users we took. We assign the permission and assign the root level global permission. Suppose if you want to assign the global level permission, again back to the vCenter. Under the roles, we have an option for global permission. Even you can assign permission at the global permission. The importance of global permission is if you have a other vCenter server integrated to this vCenter, when you assign the permission at the global permission, that the same user can access the all your linked mode vCenters as well. That is only importance of global permission. Now here also you can add the permission same way. Add demolab.com. Suppose I'm adding a administrator account with full privileges. Click on OK. Okay, like this we can add the demo lab administrator also added with full privilege, and the defined where we define this permission is global permission. Similarly, we can add user 1, user 2, user 3 also same way. You can use user 1 and administrator propagate to children, click on OK. So demo lab user 1 also added at the global permissions. Okay. So that is the point I highlighted. Assign the root level global permission to an AD user. We assigned for two AD users, user 1 and administrator account. And login as AD user. We tested login as AD user with user 1, user 2 and user 3. Okay, the same procedure for multiple users. But in the real-time scenario, whoever the application owners required the vCenter access, those specific application owners, we need to provide a AD user permission. Assigning the permission job is our vSphere administrator responsibility. Okay, and you can use an AD user to create a virtual machine. Even if you assign a virtual machine as a virtual machine power user, you can power user means he have a privileges to create a virtual machine also. Okay, so this all the our vCenter lab information. But instead of creating a VM, we tested as a creation of snapshot. Okay, the same way we know how to create a VM also. Okay, and we tested login with AD user and tested a snapshot creation. Same procedure for other user account, whatever the role he have. We tested with the three roles. One user we created with full administrator, and one user we tested with a virtual machine power user, and other user we tested with a read-only permissions. Okay, that's it for today. If you have any questions, let me know. And in the meantime, let me update our spreadsheet. It's a global inventory list we discussed today. Let me make it green. And another one, tags and custom attributes. We covered, and we covered the vCenter roles and permissions as well. Okay, so we covered mainly three topics today: global inventory list, tags and custom attributes, and roles and permissions. In our next session, we'll plan to cover the any of one feature: host profile, lifecycle manager, auto deploy. We'll plan to cover these three, and later we'll cover the vCHA. Once we completed these four concepts, almost the vSphere all concepts are covered, and only the remaining is advanced integration concepts and also the troubleshooting part. Okay, so please practice all the concepts. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.